Now at 5, he was just trying to find some peace and relaxation, but instead he found himself as part of a pattern of theft. Now he's turning to WRTV, and tonight we go in for accountability.
Less than 24 hours till early voting starts in Indiana. WRTV is bringing in the experts to keep you up to speed, cutting out the white noise with our political insiders.
And then, as Indiana's moving case average continues to climb, more close colleagues of the president are testing positive for COVID-19.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5, streaming now.
Thank you for being with us. I'm Amanda Starantino.
And I'm Mark Mullins. Tonight we're tracking where Indiana stands with COVID-19 as many states continue to see a sharp increase in cases.
And today the State Department of Health reports 835 new cases of the coronavirus. Monday's reported numbers are typically lower than the rest of the week, but this number is still high considering that since the start of the pandemic, 125,976 people in Indiana have tested positive for the virus.
We want to put those daily reported cases into context to show you where we really stand. We had our first wave of COVID-19 in Indiana from mid-March through early June. Daily reported cases declined to as low as the 200s at one point when they dropped in June. In July, daily cases began to surge again. They've stayed high for months now, with daily case averages in the 800s and 900s. Our moving average today is now 1,100 cases.
The state also reported 7 new deaths of Hoosiers with COVID-19 today. To date, 3,454 people in Indiana have died with the virus.
President Trump is at Walter Reed Medical Center for a 4th day. His doctor saying he could come home as soon as today. Meanwhile, a growing number of people within the White House are testing positive for the virus, including the White House press secretary Kayleigh McEnany and 2 of her press aides as well. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze is live from Walter Reed with the latest.
4 days after he boarded Marine One to Walter Reed Medical Center, President Trump tweeting he's leaving tonight, saying he's feeling really good. And despite undergoing treatments including supplemental oxygen and experimental drugs, the president saying, don't be afraid of COVID, don't let it dominate your life. His physician giving this update.
Though he may not entirely be out of the woods yet, the team and I agree that all our evaluations, and most importantly, his clinical status, support the president's safe return home, where he'll be surrounded by world-class medical care 24/7.
The president set to return to a White House that is now its own COVID hotspot. Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany revealing she tested positive for the virus this morning. ABC News has learned at least 2 other White House staffers in the press office also got positive test results in recent days. But McEnany never quarantined as the CDC guidelines specify, even briefing the media yesterday after removing her mask. And sources tell ABC News McEnany was pulled from the president's trip to Bedminster, New Jersey last Thursday because of her proximity to top aide Hope Hicks, who also tested positive. President Trump violating the health agency's recommendations last night during a surprise drive-by to wave to his supporters outside the hospital. The president, who health experts believe is likely still contagious, wearing a mask in the back seat, but that vehicle is sealed to protect against chemical attacks, meaning the air inside doesn't circulate, putting the Secret Service officers in the SUV at risk. The White House saying in a statement appropriate precautions were taken, including PPE. The movement was cleared by the medical team as safe to do. But the CDC says any movement of a hospitalized COVID patient outside their room should only be done for medically essential purposes. Doctors say President Trump is responding well to the antiviral treatment remdesivir and to a steroid called dexamethasone, but the use of that steroid raising questions about the severity of the president's condition. The National Institutes of Health recommends it be given to patients who are severely or critically ill, and by lowering the immune system can potentially cause further damage to a patient's organs.
We don't yet know what the president's schedule will look like after he leaves the hospital tonight and if he'll remain in isolation at the White House. The president has said he's eager to get back to the campaign with just 29 days until the election. Joe Biden also saying he's looking forward to the upcoming town hall debate with the president. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News from Walter Reed Medical Center in Maryland.
It is a major day on the calendar for Democracy 2020. Today is the last day to register to vote in Indiana. You can do so online right now at indianavoters.in.gov. Tomorrow, early voting begins in Indiana.
Tonight, our political insiders are weighing in on early voting and the president's planned departure from the hospital where he is being treated for COVID-19. Our Rafael Sanchez zooms with Republican Megan Robertson and Democrat Lara Beck.
This incident with COVID-19, will it impact the race in any capacity? Megan Robertson.
I mean, yes, it's going to impact the race. Being released from the hospital doesn't mean that you're testing negative for COVID. So I think we're going to have to see how that all turns out to see how it impacts the race and the schedule going forward. Obviously, I think the president's going to try to, have some messaging around that he beat COVID, so nobody else needs to worry about it. Obviously other folks are going to say the opposite of that and say that we need to be really mindful. So yeah, I think it's going to continue to be a focal point in the campaign.
Yeah, I agree with Megan. I mean, I think that it will affect the race. I mean, it essentially takes him off the campaign trail, assuming he follows his quarantining rules. At the same time, though, I do think that the debate really actually changed the trajectory of the race. Some of the polling that's come out right after that is showing that Trump is underwater with the over 65 crowd. And I think COVID on this one is going to be really hard because he can't be on the trail. He has to be your surrogates really are just that. They're a surrogate. They're not the principal. And that's going to be really challenging for them to fill the void these next couple of weeks.
Early voting starts tomorrow in Indiana. We are expecting record turnout, but will Hoosiers turn out? Megan.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to see high turnout. You'll see high turnout in an election year. I think it's going to be higher. It does feel like people have pretty strong opinions on this election one way or another. So I would expect to see, I don't know if I'd say record turnout, but it's definitely going to be high.
Yeah, it definitely will be high, especially because if you look at some of these congressional races, such as the one in the 5th district, which is hotly contested, we've also got some statewide races people are following. So yes, I think we're going to see turnout really peak, at least from what I hear in my little corner of the world.
Our insiders on this Monday, Democracy 2020 coverage continues right now on WRTV.com.
Thanks, all of you. And whichever way you think you might vote, we want to encourage you to do just that. Vote. If you need to know anything about your ballot or voting dates and locations, just head to WRTV's Elections Guide. That's at WRTV.com/election2020.
A Mooresville man is seeking answers following a mix-up that has landed him without the camper he claims he purchased from Campers World. WRTV's Troy Washington explains the whole ordeal.
Brad Adams thought he'd be loading up his camper to take a trip this upcoming weekend. In fact, that's what he says he had in mind when he bought a camper back in July.
It was just very disappointing. I mean, the whole thing.
Adams says though he purchased the camper in July, it was being repaired here at Camping World because of an accident that prompted the company to give him this IOU, saying they repaired the damages since it was caused by one of their workers. According to Adams, Campers World also gave him a gift card to apologize for the inconvenience. Adams says on Monday morning, Campers World called to let him know his camper was finished with repairs.
They called me to come pick it up. They said it's here ready for you to come get it.
And when you got there, nothing?
Nothing was there. My camper was not there. They showed me it on a map, the whole printout aerial view of where it was, and it was not there.
Adams says Campers World showed him where his camper should have been parked, but there was nothing in that spot.
Drove around for over an hour and then had more employees come out looking for it. I sat there for almost 3 hours before they came to the conclusion that it was stolen.
Adams says a forklift driver even explained that he recalled parking the camper in a spot that would be easy for pickup on Monday. It was allegedly parked on Friday evening, but by Monday it was gone. Adams says he called police to file a theft report within a few hours of Campers World confirming it was gone. Greenwood police tells us this is the 6th camper theft this year. All 6 taken from Campers World. 3 reports have been filed by Campers World for their campers, and the other 3 reports filed by individuals like Adams.
I thought it would be safe there, and it wasn't. You know, if it was at my house, I would have made sure and took the precautions if I didn't have my truck hooked up to it to make sure it was safe. I want this taken care of. I don't know what to do.
Jeff Nichols is the regional manager at Campers World. He says he's spoken with Adams 2 or 3 times already since the police report was filed on Monday. Nichols didn't want to do an on-camera interview, but explained to WRTV that someone drove through a fence over the weekend. According to Nichols, there were 2 campers taken, one belonging to Adams and a camper belonging to Campers World. Nichols explains their desire to get this issue resolved for Adams. They've contacted their insurance company and Adams has contacted his. Nichols did not say when or how they plan on resolving the issue. Working for you in Greenwood, Troy Washington, WRTV.
Experts tell us that owners must take extra precautions to keep their properties safe, like checking all paperwork first, because sometimes companies have waivers that could deem them unresponsible for theft. Kevin.
Hello, Amanda. Well, maybe all of you at home overslept and didn't catch the low temperature for the day, or the coldest hours between 5 and 7 a.m. Look at Terre Haute, 28 degrees this morning. Indianapolis at 34 degrees. But what's great this time of year, temperatures are really elastic and stretch out from morning low to afternoon high. It's back to 64 in Terre Haute from the 20s, 62 in Indy. We're just getting started. Our temperatures will continue to warm up as we go through the week. That will include overnight lows. It will be another cool night tonight. Not as cold, it won't be frosty, but temperatures by midnight in the 40s. We'll be in the lower 40s by the time we get started tomorrow morning. Lots of sunshine on the way tomorrow, 74 the afternoon high temperature, especially south of Indy. Get ready for clear nights and sunny days as we settle into a nice fall pattern for the week. We'll talk more about that and a tropical system that may impact the U.S. later in the week coming up.
Physically returning to the classroom is a whole new ballgame during a pandemic. Still ahead on WRTV, how teachers and staff have a plan to keep them safe from COVID-19.
And harvest time back inside the track. We find out how fans experience the Speedway in the new era of sports. That's coming up from Brad Brown when the news continues here on WRTV. This is the news at 5 on WRTV. Today marked another step in a major campaign to make sure you are ready for flu season.
Yeah, and a big part of that was leading by example. Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett and the head of the Marion County Health Department, Dr. Virginia Kane, got their annual flu shots today. Health leaders have been strong in their message this year that the risk is worse with the flu and COVID-19 both circulating. And that's where the name of today's initiative came from.
We are entering our flu season. And so we're urging all Indianapolis residents to sleeve up and get their flu shot.
The Sleeve Up Indy campaign is in partnership with the Eskenazi Health Window of Health program and the Consulate of Mexico in Indianapolis.
For the first time since March, some IPS students went back to the classroom today. WRTV's Kelsey Anderson got a lay of the land on how the district plans to keep students and staff safe this year during a pandemic.
I am so ready to get these kids back in school.
Cameron Riddle is a first grade teacher at Daniel Webster School 46. She says being in the classroom is crucial for social and emotional learning.
They need to be around their peers. They need to be somewhere that's not around like their parents every single day. Like they need to have that independence.
But getting kids to not touch their eyes, nose, mouth, and each other can be difficult.
We have a procedure and protocol for pretty much everything.
Principal Allison Peterkin says they have procedures for walking in the hallway, going to lunch, recess, dismissal, and even bathroom breaks.
Each class has their own recess equipment, and it will be cleaned every single night. We have different times throughout the day that the bathrooms will be deep cleaned, and we'll have a deep cleaning process at the end of every day.
She tells us the district bought lanyards to help kids keep their masks on, and they bought water bottles for every student so they can use the automatic water fountain.
If you've ever watched a very young child take a drink out of a water fountain, many a times their mouth gets way too close. And so by doing this, we don't have a whole bunch of germs all touching the same surface.
Now, this is obviously going to be a big change for students and staff, and both Peterkin and Riddle are glad that they have extra time with the youngest students to get them adjusted.
We're definitely going to take that first week and just go over expectations, procedures, routines in the classroom, especially since they're going to look a little different with all of the new cleanliness procedures we have to follow.
Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
IPS students will be scheduled with just their classmates. That's way, if someone does get sick, they can easily assess who that child was near.
Last year, we celebrated our 70th anniversary, and now today, another bit of WRTV history. Today marks 50 years to the day since Howard Caldwell and Ken Beckley became the first co-anchor team for WRTV, then known as WFBM TV. On this date in 1970, the two teamed up on the early evening newscast for the first time. They both stayed with WRTV for years to come. Caldwell died in 2017, and we wish his family and Ken Beckley a happy anniversary today.
And Mark, I saw that story coming up, so I texted the Caldwell family, make sure they knew that we were going to celebrate that at this hour. And then I'll mention Ken Beckley. I've gotten to know him over the years. He was a treasure trove of material for that 70th anniversary. So he's quite a historian of WRTV as well as a big part of the history itself. Not a cloud in the sky. Look out your window and compare it to this. And that blue sky will be a theme as we go through the week. Blue sky during the day, clear sky at night. I want to show you the leaf cam down in Brown County. This is a moving camera. In other words, we showed a view from the Visitors Center last week. This is out in the park and still a long way to go as far as peak color, at least on that shot. Up, up, and away. Our temperatures, although frosty this morning, will warm up, and it will be a significant, sustained warming trend. We'll take a little bit of a hit Thursday, but we're going to stay above average this week and push the upper 70s by the middle of the week. The national weather story, certainly by Friday and Saturday, will become what should be at that point Hurricane Delta. It's Tropical Storm Delta now and will gain strength, may become a Category 3 and then be a 2 as it comes into somewhere along the Louisiana, Mississippi, or Alabama coast late in the week. Stay tuned. It looks like the remnants will stay south of Indiana. Temperatures, nice recovery with all that sunshine. The wind is going to pick up over the next 48 hours. That pretty much ensures that flow of warmer air. That will try to keep temperatures from falling off too quickly tonight, but typically with a clear sky, temperatures fall rapidly, but they'll stabilize. We'll start in the 40s in the morning. We'll end in the 70s in the afternoon. That's with lots of sunshine. Should be mid-70s as we get from Terre Haute to Columbus South, foreshadowing the warmer temperatures that are still on the way. 7-day forecast, overnight lows continue to warm up. Temperatures will be in the 50s Wednesday morning. Then we bounce back into the 40s by Friday morning, only for a little bit. And you can see the 7-day forecast, aside from a small chance of rain next Monday at 20%, it's pretty consistent. 70s for highs, 40s to 50s for lows, and lots of sunshine. I don't think there's much to argue about there, other than we need the rain. Mark and Amanda?
I like it. Thanks, Kevin. The Indy 500 and Brickyard 400 came and went this summer with no fans inside the speedway to watch. But this past weekend, some people got to get inside to see some racing action. So how did it all go, and what about future plans? Brad Brown has a closer look.
Like welcoming guests to a housewarming party, Roger Penske and Doug Bowles were at the front gate to greet the first fans to enter IMS for a racing event this year.
For us, I think we maybe were more excited than the fans were, but just to see happy faces of people that haven't been in here at all this year, get an opportunity to come in, see the NTT IndyCar Series, just see the things that Rogers allowed us to do.
The IndyCar Harvest GP weekend started on Thursday. A smattering of fans spread out in the Oval's Turn 1 grandstands. By Friday and Saturday, that crowd had grown to several thousand, also occupying a large portion of the J stand in the northwest corner.
Just to get everybody back together, and really I was impressed with the compliance and the masks and just the way that everybody understands we're in a different world, and in order to do this, at least right now, we got to do some things that we wouldn't normally do here when you're at the Speedway.
New video boards, refreshed restrooms, wider public spaces all on display. Temperature checks, masks, and reminders to socially distance, all part of the new way of doing things for now.
What we've learned the most is flexibility. We've gone through so many different variations of what a race at the Speedway might look like, from the Brickyard to the Indy 500, now ultimately to this. Just the flexibility to be prepared to make sure we're doing it in a safe manner, and also doing it in a way that we could get some approval so we could have some folks here.
There are more events for fans already on the schedule. Moto America's Superbike Series will be at IMS this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the 2021 calendar starts with the month of May. The IndyCar Grand Prix on May 15th, the Indy 500 on May 30th. And then NASCAR's Brickyard Weekend comes in the middle of August. More opportunities. They're hoping to have more fans back at the Speedway. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
We are about to show some pride for this successful and historic Hoosier in a big way, where you can expect to see a major new tribute to Madam C.J. Walker coming up.
And we're learning new things about the biggest night in country music. Who's hosting the CMAs? Coming up when the news continues here. Right now on WRTV, her lasting legacy is getting an even bigger boost in Indianapolis. The Indianapolis Bicentennial Commission has endorsed the Madam Walker Legacy Mural Project, an official project at the Indianapolis International Airport. The goal is to show off to the world's visitors to Indianapolis how Madam C.J. Walker made a lasting impact on society, culture, and the economy of Indiana Avenue and the city. The mural will tap the talents of Hoosier artists, and we're hearing it will be on display in Civic Plaza for up to 2 years. Starting next February.
Country music's biggest night now has its stars at the helm. Reba McEntire and Darius Rucker are set to host the 54th annual CMA Awards. The show will still be live and still feature great performances from artists. Hosted from downtown Nashville, we are still waiting to hear word on whether fans will be allowed there. Either way, you should join us starting at 8 p.m. Wednesday, November 11th for the awards, right here on WRTV.
A customer says a visit to a furniture store put his identity at risk. Tonight at 6, WRTV investigates, finds out what happened and what you can do to protect yourself.
Zelle, Venmo, it's a lot more common to pay by app these days, but that comes with an important warning before you give your data over. What you need to know ahead on the news at 5:30 on WRTV.